Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. Today I'm really excited to show you this new knife from Spyderco. It's called the Spyderco Smock because Kevin Smock is a custom knife designer who has teamed up with Spyderco to make this guy. Okay, first off we'll just get into some of the basic specs and then I'll get into my opinion and thoughts and what I think this knife is best used for. Starting with the materials of the handle, we're looking at G10 with carbon fiber. So I assume that they just put a layer of carbon fiber on top of G10 handles, but I'm not 100% sure how they did that, or if that's exactly what they did. But it feels really good. It says G10 carbon fiber, and like I said, it feels really good. It's very grippy, but it's not like so grippy that it's gonna like tear on your pants or anything like that as you're putting it in and out of your pocket. But it just feels good. I could tell it would have a good grip even if it was wet or something. It measures about 4.5 inches in length. So for comparison, that's like right in between a Paramilitary 2 and the Spyderco Para 3. This is like somewhere in between there. Next, why don't we take a look at the blade. You're looking at a S30V steel blade with a hollow grind. It's a Warncliffe style blade. And to be honest, it just looks really good. For those of you who aren't familiar with S30V, it's a fantastic steel. It keeps an edge really well, and it's highly corrosive resistant. So, if you're going to be carrying this every day, which is what I think you would use this knife for, as like an EDC knife, just something that you would have in your pocket all the time. You don't have to worry about the blade getting messed up over time or anything, because like I said, S30V is a fantastic steel. Also, the total length of this blade is a little over 3 inches, but the cutting edge is a little under 3 inches just because of this choil that they put right here. And to be honest, it's not exactly the most effective like for actual usability because it kind of leans forward and kind of comes to a point right here. So you would have to be really careful to not, if you're using it, you have to be careful to not poke yourself. I have small fingers, and so it doesn't stick out as much on me, but I can imagine for the average person, this would probably poke right into you. So you just have to be careful there. I wish they probably either should have done this a little bit better or just gone away with it completely so you could have a longer edge. But either way, it's still a great blade. It's got some jimping here on top, so you can really put your thumb on there if you need to, and I think it's plenty aggressive and I think would work well. I would suggest just kind of using your fingers like this on the blade, and then you can do whatever you need to do. The total weight of this knife is about 3.6 ounces, so it's not too heavy, but it's also not super light. But I think it's actually pretty dang light for how much knife you're getting. Obviously, you're not getting as much edge on the blade just because of that choil, but still, for the size and the heft, I think that's actually really light. I have a Benchmade 940-2, and it's lighter than this, but it also doesn't quite feel as hefty. But at the same time, it has a longer edge, even though it's lighter. So, but I think having the bigger handle, slightly longer handle, I think that's better for most people who've got average size hands. I have smaller hands, so as you can see, I have no problem getting my hands completely on it. And, no matter what I'm doing, I'll have a good grip on it. But I think this is a good size handle for most people. Also, you've got these 3 holes on there that are completely see-through, so that's kind of cool. It just gives it a cool style. And then you've got a lanyard hole here on the back, as well as ambidextrous pocket clip. So if you wanted to unscrew this and put it on the other side, you could totally do that. And it's got this nice tape ring right here, which I think just adds in the cool look and also the comfortable feel of it. That way you're not up against like a square edge right here. Another thing I wanted to mention about this blade is that it comes extremely sharp. Just as a little demonstration, obviously this is just paper, but look at that. It's just like butter. So in case you guys are wondering, it comes extremely sharp. Also, the thickness of the blade is really good. And what I mean by that is that, as you can see, it's really thick and it stays that way all the way to the very point. So you don't have to worry about your point breaking off on you. Not that I would use it for prying or anything, but I'm just saying, you know, it's really thick all the way to the point. So that's just another really nice thing about this blade. And in case you guys didn't notice, you've got the Spyderco logo on this side of the blade, and on the other side, that logo is actually Kevin Smock's logo, which I think looks really cool. Everything about this knife looks cool. He's got a really cool logo, and I just think it's a very unique design, which kind of brings me to the next point, which is the locking mechanism. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering about that. It's really unique because it's a button to unlock it, which it's not a button lock though. It actually is a compression lock, and when you push this button, it pushes that out of the way, which allows you to close the knife. So it's a really sturdy style lockup. There's no play or wiggle in it whatsoever, and you know, it makes for a fun way to close the knife because you just push the button and flip it down. So you could obviously, you can open it with the flipper. This is a top flipping knife, or a top flipper knife, which the one really cool thing that they did with this is that most flippers, they kind of stick out. So you've got the whole handle and knife, and then your flipper kind of sticks out. But this, it just perfectly goes with the shape of the knife. So there's nothing sticking out, and it kind of just adds to the sleekness of the knife. I do wish that they would have maybe put a little bit of jimping on top of this so your finger doesn't slip off if they're oily or if you're sweaty or something, because I've had that happen a couple times in the past day and a half that I've been using it a lot. But anyways, it still works fantastic. And the Spidey hole, you can't really use it as well with the traditional style of opening. Luckily I have small fingers so I can still do it, but it's not as easy as obviously just using the flipper. But anyways, it's still cool that they put it there. It adds a cool look, and it still gives you that option of trying to practice and seeing if you can use it. So sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But for the most part, I just open it like that and close it like that. It's a really fun knife, that's for sure. If you just want something to kind of mess around with while you're sitting on the couch, this is a really fun knife. Obviously, I really like this knife. I think it's really cool looking. It's a good size. It's a fun knife. It's really sturdy and has really high quality materials. I would absolutely recommend getting one or suggest getting one if you have the money for it, which brings me to the price. It's definitely not a cheap knife, but it's cheaper than like a Benchmade 940 or something like that. This was $162.50. So if you've got $162.50 and you want a really high quality knife with a high quality steel and high quality just materials all the way around, then I definitely think spending that money on this would be a good purchase, because you could have this knife for your entire life. And they have, Spyderco does a really good job. If something did get messed up, you could always contact them and they can help you out with that. But like I said, this is a fantastic quality knife, and if you spent the money on it, I don't think you would be disappointed. Once again, you know, it's something that you could have your whole life, so just think about it that way. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy reviews like this about knives or flashlights or a lot of gun stuff, I do a lot of gun videos and hiking stuff. So any of that kind of content, if you're into that, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. If you like this video, that would help me out as well. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.